Your boat moves slowly across the darkening water. The sea is calm tonight. Gentle waves tap the painted wooden sides of the vessel in a patient rhythm. Above you, the sky glows with deep violet and fading gold. Atlantis rises ahead, bright against the horizon, like a city made from moonlight and memory. Tall harbor towers stand beside the entrance canal. Their pale marble walls shine softly beneath hanging crystal lamps. Thin bridges connect the towers high above the water. You notice how everything feels ancient and advanced at the same time. Bronze gears turn silently inside glass chambers. Soft blue light travels through clear crystal pipes beneath the docks. The captain guides the boat between long rows of anchored ships. Some carry silk sails the color of sea foam. Others glow faintly with lanterns shaped like floating pearls. Workers move carefully along the docks, speaking in quiet voices. Nobody rushes here. Even the harbor seems to breathe slowly. You smell salt, cedar wood, and warm bread drifting from somewhere deeper inside the city. A group of young musicians sits near the pier entrance. They play silver string instruments with slow and sleepy melodies. One player yawns halfway through a song and keeps performing without missing a note. Nobody appears concerned. It feels like a very professional yawn. Your boat finally reaches the landing platform. Two harbor attendants wait beside the polished stone steps leading upward into debt to the city. Their robes move gently in the evening breeze. One offers you a small lantern made from blue crystal. The light inside flickers like water trapped in glass. You step onto the dock and hear the soft echo of your footsteps beneath the arches overhead. Nearby canals carry reflections of stars across the smooth water. The whole harbor glimmers quietly. Even the ropes tied to the posts seem carefully arranged. Farther inland, wide terraces climb toward glowing temples and distant gardens. You feel as though the city has been expecting you all evening. The air grows cooler as dusk settles over the harbor, and your arms and legs begin to feel pleasantly heavy. You walk beneath long, curved arches beside the harbor market. Crystal lamps hang overhead in careful rows. Their pale blue light reflects against marble floors polished, smooth by thousands of quiet footsteps. The market stretches beside the water like a slow river of color and sound. Merchants stand behind carved stone tables filled with strange and beautiful objects. You see silver bowls etched with tiny waves. Soft fabrics shimmer like fish scales beneath the lantern glow. Thin glass bottles hold glowing oils in shades of amber and green. One merchant carefully stacks oranges into a perfect pyramid, then watches a single orange roll away with the calm disappointment of a philosopher. The evening crowd moves gently through the narrow pathways. Nobody bumps shoulders. Nobody raises their voice. Conversations drift softly through the air like warm smoke. You hear laughter now and then, but even laughter sounds sleepy here. A nearby baker removes round honey cakes from a bronze oven built directly into the wall. Warm sweetness fills the air around you. He brushes the tops with glowing citrus syrup while humming to himself. Farther down the walkway, a woman tunes crystal chimes hanging beside her stall. Each note rings softly, like distant water drops inside a cave. You pause beside a canal crossing where small trading boats glide beneath stone bridges. Lanterns float along the water in shallow bowls made from pearl-colored shells. The reflections move slowly across the undersides of the arches. Above the market, tall balconies rise from elegant marble buildings covered in climbing flowers. Curtains shift lazily beside open windows. Somewhere overhead, someone plays a flute with such patience that every note feels carefully folded into the evening. At the far end of the market, an old map seller sits beneath a blue canopy. He appears half asleep while organizing maps that are already perfectly organized. The slow music, warm lights, and steady canal water make your whole body feel comfortably heavy. You enter the canal district as twilight deepens across the city. The sky above Atlantis glows dark blue now, touched with faint silver clouds drifting slowly toward the sea. Crystal lanterns awaken one by one along the water, their reflections stretching across the canals like soft ribbons of light. Narrow stone walkways curve beside the water in gentle patterns. Small bridges rise over the canals every few minutes, each one carved with smooth spirals and tiny sea creatures along the railings. The marble beneath your feet still holds a little warmth from the vanished sun. Boats drift quietly through the waterways. Some are long and narrow, guided by silent boat keepers wearing deep blue robes. Others move without visible effort at all, gliding gently through the canals beside glowing crystal engines hidden beneath polished decks. Nobody seems surprised by this. In Atlantis, even impossible things behave politely. You pass beneath hanging gardens suspended between the buildings overhead. Green vines trail downward toward the water, carrying small white flowers that open only at night. Their scent mixes with cool ocean air drifting through the district. Across one bridge, a group of scholars walk slowly beside the canal while discussing the stars. One of them carries far too many scrolls. A single scroll slips loose and falls into the arms of another scholar behind him. Without interrupting the conversation at all, it feels like a mistake they have practiced many times. You stop beside a quiet landing platform where crystal lamps rest inside tall glass columns. Fish move beneath the clear water below you. Their silver scales flash briefly whenever they pass through the lantern reflections. Music drifts from distant terraces. Slow harp notes echo gently through the water corridors. And far ahead, the central towers of Atlantis shine above the district like pale mountains of marble and glass. Their lights shimmer through the evening haze. The steady movement of the canals and the soft glow surrounding the bridges make your breathing slower and your body pleasantly heavy. You enter a quiet garden hidden between two wide marble halls. The sounds of the city fade gently behind you. Here, everything feels softer. The air carries the cool scent of flowers, fresh water, and distant ocean mist. At the center of the garden stands a tall crystal fountain. Water rises through the transparent structure in slow spirals before falling quietly into a circular basin below. Light moves inside the crystal column, like drifting moonbeams trapped beneath ice. You walk closer and sit beside the fountain edge. The stone beneath you feels cool and smooth. Tiny ripples spread gently across the basin whenever drops fall from the upper crystal rings. Nearby gardeners move carefully among the flower beds. One gardener spends nearly an entire minute deciding where to place a single small lantern beside a bush. The lantern ends up almost exactly where it started. Beyond the fountain, rows of tall trees form shaded archways filled with hanging vines. Small glowing insects drift lazily between the branches, like floating embers. Somewhere deeper in the garden, wind chimes answer the breeze with soft hollow notes. A pair of white birds stands near the far side of the basin. They lower their heads slowly toward the water, then remain perfectly still for several long moments, as if quietly admiring their own reflections. The fountain continues its endless rhythm beside you. Water rises, water falls. Light shifts gently across the garden paths. The cool air, soft lantern glow, and slow movement of the fountain make your eyes heavy and your whole body deeply relaxed. You stand upon the western bridge as evening settles over Atlantis. The last light of the sun stretches across the distant ocean in long bands of gold and copper. Below you, the canals carry those colors slowly through the city, like moving ribbons of fire. The bridge arches high above the water between two marble towers carved with ancient ocean patterns. Crystal lanterns line the railing at careful intervals, though they remain dim for now while the final sunlight still lingers across the horizon. You rest your hands against the smooth stone railing and look westward. Far beyond the harbor walls, calm waves rise and fall beneath the fading sky. Ships drift slowly toward the outer sea, with glowing lanterns already shining against the dusk. A man carrying an enormous basket of flowers stops halfway across the bridge to admire the view, then nearly forgets the basket entirely. The flowers appear patient about the situation. Somewhere nearby, bells ring softly to mark the beginning of the evening hours. Their slow echoes fade gently across the water. The sun lowers farther toward the horizon now. Gold becomes amber. Amber becomes deep rose and violet. One by one, the crystal lanterns along the bridge begin to glow with pale blue light. The final sunlight fades slowly from the water, and the peaceful evening air makes your entire body feel warm, calm, and wonderfully heavy. You walk slowly along the grand marble boulevard as night settles fully over Atlantis. The wide avenue stretches ahead between towering columns and graceful archways lit by crystal lanterns suspended high above the street. The marble beneath your feet still holds a little warmth from the vanished sun. Pale blue light spills softly across the polished stone. Reflections shimmer faintly beneath each lantern, like calm water trapped inside the pavement itself. People wander along the boulevard in no particular hurry. Couples walk arm in arm beneath the lanterns. Elderly scholars sit upon stone benches, speaking softly beside small fountains. Merchants slowly close their shops for the evening while arranging tomorrow's goods with surprising care. One shopkeeper spends several minutes adjusting a single pear upon a display table. The pear receives the attention usually reserved for royalty. A quiet carriage glides past beside the canal. Its lanterns glow pale gold against the dark water. The driver nods politely as the horses continue forward, at a pace so calm they almost appear to be dreaming while walking. The farther you walk, the quieter the avenue becomes. Footsteps grow softer. Voices fade into distant murmurs. Even the canals seem to move more slowly beneath the sleeping city. You stand quietly beside the water while the warm night air settles gently around your body, leaving you calm, peaceful, and ready to drift softly toward sleep. You step quietly into the Atlantean tea house and immediately feel the peaceful warmth surrounding the room. Outside, the canals shimmer beneath the night sky. Inside, everything glows with soft amber light. Soft music hums quietly somewhere near the back of the room. The melody rises and falls like calm breathing. Steam curls upward from nearby teapots in thin, twisting ribbons. The air smells faintly of jasmine, citrus, mint, and warm honey. A quiet server approaches carrying a silver tray balanced carefully between both hands. He moves with such concentration that the tray appears to be participating in a very important ceremony. You settle comfortably beside the window while warm tea is poured slowly into a small crystal cup. Pale golden light shines through the liquid, like captured sunlight. Beyond the open windows, narrow canals drift silently through the sleeping city. Lantern reflections ripple across the dark water below. Occasionally, a small boat glides past beneath the bridges, carrying passengers wrapped in soft evening robes. Some guests simply sit in silence, listening to the faint music and the soft bubbling of water flowing through narrow indoor fountains built into the stone floor. Stillness settles over the room like a soft blanket. The soothing warmth of the tea spreads through your entire body, leaving you calm, drowsy, and wonderfully ready for sleep. You walk quietly through the great library of Atlantis, where endless rows of golden tablets rest beneath towering crystal ceiling. The vast chamber stretches so far into the distance that the farthest shelves disappear into soft blue haze. The air inside the library feels cool and still. It carries the faint scent of parchment, cedarwood, and ancient stone warmed by centuries of lantern light. No one speaks above a whisper here. Even footsteps seem softer inside this enormous chamber. A librarian glides past carrying an impossible number of scrolls balanced carefully in both arms. Somehow, not a single one falls. Atlantis may preserve many ancient mysteries, but this appears to be among the greatest. Far above, enormous domed ceilings arch overhead with detailed carvings of stars, oceans, and distant constellations. Blue light ripples faintly through the crystal panels above, like moonlight beneath calm water. Somewhere high above, a mechanical clock marks the passing hour with a single soft tone. The library feels timeless now, protected from the outside world, calm and unmoving beneath its glowing crystal ceilings. The soft lantern light, the quiet air, and the endless stillness of the ancient library slowly make your eyes feel warm, calm, and pleasantly tired. You wander slowly through a quiet residential street deep within Atlantis, where the evening has already settled into peaceful silence. Narrow marble homes stand closely together beneath softly glowing lanterns suspended between the buildings overhead. The neighborhood feels calm and lived in, comfortable in the quiet way only familiar places can feel at night. A cat watches from the top of a marble wall, with the serious expression of a philosopher considering difficult questions about fish. Inside nearby homes, soft conversations rise and fade behind open windows. You hear dishes being gently stacked after the evening meal, somewhere farther away. Quiet music drifts through the peaceful neighborhood air. An elderly man sits outside his doorway, slowly carving tiny sea animals from polished wood. He pauses to inspect one very small turtle for an unusually long time, before nodding with quiet satisfaction. The entire city feels slower now, softer, as though Atlantis itself is preparing for sleep. You stand quietly beneath the lantern glow, while the peaceful residential street settles deeper into stillness, leaving your mind calm and your body wonderfully ready to rest. You arrive beside a quiet canal just as the final light of evening settles across Atlantis. The sky above the city glows with soft shades of amber, rose, and deepening violet. Some children float tiny lantern boats upon the water. Others lean carefully over the edge of the canal, watching the glowing reflections ripple beneath them. One small boy becomes completely distracted by a duck and forgets the race he was apparently winning moments earlier. The duck seems quietly pleased with itself. The children's laughter grows softer now, as families begin gathering them gently toward home. Lantern boats continue drifting along the canal in slow, peaceful lines. The first stars appear overhead. At last, the final colors of sunset disappear from the canal, and the calm evening air leaves you warm, peaceful, and slowly drifting towards sleep. You follow the broad avenue slowly upward through the heart of Atlantis. The city grows quieter as you climb. The sounds of markets and canals fade behind you until only distant fountains and soft evening wind remain. The air smells faintly of incense and ocean salt. Tall statues stand beside the stairways. Ancient kings, scholars, and sea voyagers gaze calmly toward the city below. Moss and flowering vines curl gently around their feet, as though the temple itself has been peacefully growing here forever. A small child walks beside her mother, carrying an offering bowl almost too large for her arms. She takes each step with complete seriousness. Halfway up the stairs, she stops dramatically to rest for approximately 3 entire seconds before continuing her sacred mission. At the highest terrace before the entrance, the entire city opens behind you. Canals shimmer far below like silver threads crossing the sleeping streets. Crystal towers glow softly beneath the violet evening sky. Lanterns drift along distant bridges, while ocean mist curls slowly between the outer walls of Atlantis. The temple doors stand ahead now, vast, silent, covered in delicate patterns of waves and constellations carved so finely they almost seem drawn directly into the stone. Warm light spills outward from within. The evening air cools softly around the great central temple, and the quiet rhythm of the city below slowly fades into peaceful stillness. You step quietly through the enormous temple doors and enter a world of soft light and echoing calm. Thin streams of incense drift slowly upward through the warm air, carrying scents of cedar, jasmine, and distant ocean rain. Nobody rushes. Every movement appears practiced thousands of times before. Calm hands, quiet footsteps, slow voices barely above whispers. Soft chanting rises somewhere deeper inside the temple. The voices blend together gently, like distant waves moving across the shore at night. At one side of the chamber, attendants carefully refill oil lamps hanging from enormous bronze chains. One lamp swings slightly after being adjusted and continues swaying with determined patience long after everyone else has finished working around it. You notice the quiet balance inside the temple: water, fire, stone, light. Every detail seems placed not to impress visitors, but to steady the mind. Far above, tiny crystals set into the ceiling form patterns of stars across the darkness overhead, and then their faint blue light twinkles gently through drifting incense smoke, like a hidden night sky resting inside the temple itself. The peaceful voices continue softly through the vast temple halls, and the warm candlelight slowly settles across the quiet stone, like a gentle tide at evening. A narrow spiral staircase leads upward through the highest tower of the temple. Candle niches glow softly along the curved walls as you climb higher into the quiet darkness. The sounds of the temple gradually fade below you. You step out onto the observatory roof. The entire city of Atlantis spreads below like a field of glowing lanterns floating upon the sea. Above you, the stars appear endless, One elderly scholar adjusts a complicated device made from rotating bronze circles and crystal rods. He studies the stars very carefully for several moments, and before giving the instrument one small additional adjustment that appears based almost entirely on stubbornness. Soft bells ring somewhere far beneath the temple terraces. Their distant tones rise softly through the night air before fading into silence again. A young apprentice struggles politely with a stack of star charts far taller than seems reasonable for peaceful nighttime astronomy. The city below grows quieter with every passing moment. Lanterns dim gradually across distant streets and canals. The ocean breeze softens. Even the astronomers speak less now, as though the stars themselves encourage silence. You rest your hands against the cool marble railing and gaze upward into the endless night sky above Atlantis, while the quiet observatory settles deeper into calm beneath the drifting stars. You leave the observatory and descend onto one of the quiet upper terraces overlooking the city and sea. Crystal lanterns hang from silver chains between the columns, their light soft enough to leave the stars untouched. The air feels cool and peaceful here. Above you, the heavens seem impossibly clear. Thousands of stars fill the sky. Some shine sharp and bright, while others glow softly through thin streams of drifting cloud. Constellations arc slowly overhead, like ancient stories written across the darkness. A pair of scholars nearby debate something very important, using whispered voices and dramatic gestures toward a constellation overhead. After several minutes, both eventually agree that the stars remain completely unconcerned about the argument. You notice how naturally the silence settles here. Nobody tries to fill it. The quiet itself becomes part of the night. The stars continue their patient movement overhead while cool ocean air brushes gently across the temple terrace. Lanterns sway slightly beside the columns, and the peaceful sky above Atlantis slowly drifts deeper into stillness. You wander away from the great temple terraces into one of the quieter alleyways winding through the upper districts of Atlantis. The streets here are narrow and peaceful. Somewhere nearby, wind chimes ring softly in the cool evening air. At the end of a narrow passageway, you notice a small private shrine tucked carefully between two marble buildings. It almost disappears beneath climbing flowers. Candles flicker behind colored glass panels, while thin ribbons tied to the walls sway gently in the breeze. The air smells softly of cedar and jasmine. A single elderly woman kneels quietly near the back of the shrine, arranging fresh flowers into a narrow crystal vase. She moves slowly and carefully, occasionally pausing to study one flower with the serious concentration usually reserved for solving ancient mysteries. No grand ceremonies happen here. No crowds gather, only silence, candlelight, and the peaceful rhythm of water moving gently through hidden channels beneath the shrine floor. You remain there quietly for a long while as the cool night air drifts through the narrow alley outside, and the small private shrine settles softly into the calm silence of late evening. You leave the quiet alleyways behind and follow the sound of moving water deeper into the lower canals of Atlantis. The city feels softer here at night, quieter and slower beneath the moonlight. A boatkeeper waits patiently beside one of the smaller vessels. Without hurry, he unties the boat and steadies it quietly against the dock for you. You step aboard. The little boat shifts gently beneath your feet before settling again into the calm water. Cushioned benches line the inside beside folded blankets and small crystal lanterns glowing with pale blue light. Slowly, the canal begins to carry you forward. The city glides past in silence. A cat watches from one of the bridge railings above, staring down at the passing boat with the solemn expression of someone personally responsible for canal security. The farther you drift, the quieter Atlantis becomes. Soon even footsteps disappear entirely. Only water remains. The small canal boat continues its slow journey beneath the moonlit bridges, and the peaceful canals of Atlantis carry you deeper into the calm silence of the night. The little canal boat glides deeper into the waterways of Atlantis while the city grows quieter around you. Some bridges are lined with flowering vines spilling down toward the water. Others carry tiny lantern stalls now closed for the evening. One bridge holds a row of marble statues staring silently across the canal as though guarding the sleeping city. You drift beneath them one by one. The rhythm becomes peaceful. Moonlight, stone, water, silence. One particularly low bridge forces everyone aboard to duck slightly as the boat slips beneath the stone. The boatkeeper does this with the calm familiarity of someone who has nearly forgotten that other people occasionally enjoy protecting their foreheads. No voices reach this place, only water and distant wind. Somewhere nearby, a flute plays softly for only a few notes before stopping again. The sound disappears almost immediately into the night air. The boat continues onward beneath another marble arch while lantern reflections shimmer gently around you, and the peaceful canals of Atlantis drift deeper into the stillness of midnight. The canal boat finally slows beside a quiet landing platform. A narrow stairway descends beneath the surface of the canal itself. The air grows cooler as you follow the stairway downward. Water moves quietly somewhere beyond the stone, slow and steady, like distant breathing beneath the city. At the bottom of the stairs, the passage opens into a long underwater walkway. You pause, and the entire floor beneath your feet is made of thick crystal glass. Dark water drifts silently below. Silver fish move slowly beneath the transparent floor, while pale ribbons of moonlight filter down from the canals overhead. Schools of tiny glowing fish drift through the water, like floating stars beneath your feet. A pair of children walks carefully across the crystal floor ahead, holding hands very tightly while pretending not to be nervous. Their attempt becomes slightly less convincing when one refuses to look downward at all. No loud sounds exist here, only the muffled movement of water surrounding the ancient city. Lanterns shimmer across the glass floor. Fish glide peacefully through the deep water below, and the hidden underwater world beneath the city settles gently into the calm silence of midnight. The underwater walkway eventually rises once more toward the upper levels of Atlantis. At the top, a small courtyard opens quietly between tall marble buildings. Moonlight rests across the stone like silver silk. At the center stands a fountain, or rather, a sleeping fountain. No water rises from it now. The marble basin remains perfectly still beneath the moonlight, reflecting the surrounding columns and drifting clouds overhead. The silence here feels deeper somehow. Even the city sounds seem reluctant to enter. A single elderly groundskeeper crosses the courtyard, slowly carrying a lantern and an armful of folded cloths. He studies the sleeping fountain carefully for a long moment, before apparently deciding that it remains successfully asleep for the evening. Satisfied, he continues onward into another passageway and disappears. The courtyard grows still again. Nothing asks for attention here. You remain there for a long while, listening to the soft night breeze moving through the ivy-covered walls, while the sleeping fountain reflects moonlight silently into the calm stillness of the ancient city. Beyond the quiet courtyard, a narrow marble passageway opens toward the royal gardens of Atlantis. You step inside. Everything feels hushed here. A narrow stream winds gently through the center of the garden, crossed by tiny arched bridges of white stone. The water moves so softly it barely makes a sound. A pair of gardeners move silently along one of the distant pathways, carefully avoiding stepping on a cat sleeping directly in the middle of the walkway. With complete confidence in its royal authority, the cat does not move. At the center of the royal garden stands a circular pavilion open to the night sky. Soft cushions rest beneath its marble columns beside low tables covered in silver bowls of floating flowers. No voices rise here now, only wind moving softly through the trees. The midnight air feels cool against your skin while stars drift silently above Atlantis, and the royal gardens settle deeper into their calm and dreamlike stillness beneath the sleeping moon. You leave the canal district behind through a quiet marble corridor, winding gently upward through the higher levels of Atlantis. Far below, canals shimmer between the sleeping streets. Eventually, the staircase opens onto a broad rooftop terrace overlooking all of Atlantis. You pause near the entrance. The view stretches endlessly in every direction. Near one corner of the terrace, several scholars sit quietly around a low table covered in star charts. Every few moments, one points very seriously toward the sky, while another nods with the solemn concentration of someone attempting to negotiate directly with the moon. A loose scroll suddenly rolls off the table. Nobody reacts quickly enough to catch it. The scroll continues peacefully across the marble floor until it stops beside a sleeping cat beneath one of the benches. The cat opens one eye briefly before deciding the matter does not concern him personally. The entire city breathes slowly beneath the night sky. You remain there for a long while, listening to the soft breeze moving through the open terrace while Atlantis stretches endlessly below in silver canals, sleeping towers, and quiet lantern light beneath the calm stillness of midnight. At last, you leave the rooftop terrace and begin wandering back down through the quieter streets of Atlantis. The city has grown softer now. Many lanterns burn low behind shuttered windows, while the canals move silently beneath moonlit bridges. Its lantern sign sways gently above the doorway, painted with the image of a silver crescent moon resting upon calm water. Warm golden light glows softly through the lower windows onto the empty street outside. The inn feels welcoming immediately. You step inside. A tiny fire burns quietly inside a stone hearth near the far wall, filling the room with warmth and the faint scent of cedar wood. The air smells faintly of warm tea. The innkeeper places the key gently onto the table, then pauses to inspect one nearby pillow with the serious concentration of a man evaluating important royal architecture. Apparently satisfied, he nods once, then quietly wishes you a peaceful night and disappears back into the hallway. The room grows still again. Outside, distant canal water echoes softly through the sleeping city while cool ocean air drifts gently through the balcony curtains. And the quiet little inn settles deeper into the calm silence of midnight Atlantis. A gentle knock sounds at the door. The innkeeper enters quietly, carrying a small silver tray balanced carefully in both hands. Steam curls upward from a delicate porcelain teapot beside two tiny cups painted with pale blue stars. He pours the tea slowly while fragrant steam drifts upward, carrying the scent of jasmine, cedar, and something faintly sweet you cannot quite identify. The innkeeper explains in a low voice that the tea blend is prepared specially for late evenings. According to him, it encourages peaceful dreams and restful sleep. Then he quietly admits the recipe also occasionally encourages guests to miss breakfast entirely. You suspect this may not be considered a flaw. The door closes softly behind him. You sip the tea slowly. Warmth spreads through your hands and shoulders, while cool ocean air drifts gently into the room from outside. One of the honey cakes disappears surprisingly quickly. You briefly consider eating another before realizing the innkeeper has likely engineered the entire situation with alarming precision. You remain beside the balcony for a long while warm tea, lantern light, and cool ocean air settle softly around the little room, deep within the sleeping heart of Atlantis. At last, the warmth of the tea and the quiet rhythm of the canals begin pulling gently at your tiredness. The room feels softer now somehow. The curtains drift lazily in the night breeze. You lie back and listen. Far below the inn, Atlantis whispers softly through the darkness. Water moves quietly through the canals beneath the bridges. Somewhere distant, footsteps cross marble streets before fading away again. Everything sounds slower now, gentler. A canal gate opens somewhere in the distance with a low wooden creak, followed by the soft splash of water shifting through the channels. Farther away, faint wind chimes stir briefly before becoming still again. Somewhere outside, a cat voices a single strong opinion into the night before apparently deciding the matter has been fully resolved, and the silence returns once more. You remain resting there, while the quiet inn, the moonlit canals, and the sleeping city below slowly carry the night deeper into calm stillness. You rest quietly beneath the blankets while Atlantis drifts peacefully through the final hours of the night. Then the bells begin. Softly at first, a single deep note echoes across the city from one of the great towers overlooking the harbor. The sound rolls slowly through the night air, low and gentle rather than sharp. Another bell answers from farther away, then another. Soon the entire city seems to sing quietly together beneath the moonlit sky. None hurry. Each note lingers peacefully before fading into the darkness above the canals. For a few moments, everything else becomes silent. No footsteps, no voices, only bells moving slowly through the midnight air. Even the inn itself seems to pause and listen. One particularly distant bell rings slightly later than the others, almost apologetically, with the sleepy uncertainty of someone who may have briefly forgotten the schedule entirely. Then the final echoes begin to fade. One by one, the bells disappear back into silence, until only the faint sound of water remains below the balcony once more. The city settles completely. You lie quietly beneath the warm blankets. The last traces of midnight bells fade gently across the sleeping canals of Atlantis. Beneath the calm and endless night sky, the night deepens slowly around you. Atlantis grows quieter with every passing moment. A final boat drifts beneath a distant bridge, then disappears. The canal behind it becomes empty once more. You notice how the city quiets in layers. First the voices fade, then the footsteps, then the music somewhere far away beyond the terraces and towers. One by one, the canals fall silent. A faint breeze slips through the balcony curtains behind you, cool, gentle. You listen carefully. There is less to hear now. You remain still, breathing slowly. Below, another canal settles into silence, then another, until it feels as though the entire city has stopped moving altogether. Only the water remains awake, quietly flowing through Atlantis beneath the moon and stars, while the sleeping city drifts slowly toward dreams. The night continues folding softly over Atlantis. One light disappears somewhere far away, then another. The city darkens slowly. Nothing feels sudden, everything happens quietly here. The lantern beside the bed is nearly burned down to its final glow now, leaving the room filled mostly with moonlight. The pale silver light touches the floorboards, the blankets, the wooden table beside the bed. Outside, another window becomes dark, then another. You feel the city drifting farther away from waking. The fountains no longer echo. No voices rise from the bridges. Even the ocean seems quieter beyond the walls of Atlantis. Everything feels softer now, lighter. You close your eyes briefly. When you open them again, another distant light has disappeared. One final lantern flickers high within a distant tower for a few quiet moments more, then fades softly into darkness. The city sleeps now. Now there is almost nothing left to hear. Only the ocean. The city behind you has become silent. No bells sound from the towers. No footsteps cross the bridges. Far beyond the harbor walls, the ocean breathes gently in the darkness. Wave after wave, a calm rhythm without beginning or end. The sound feels distant at first, then closer, then everywhere at once. The ocean continues breathing, in and out slowly. The waves roll against the harbor far below, then retreat again into the night. A faint mist has begun gathering low above the distant water now. The stars remain visible overhead, dimmer now, gentler somehow. You feel the cool air against your skin while Atlantis sleeps quietly beside the breathing ocean, beneath the endless night sky. At last, you leave the quiet room behind. Your footsteps are soft upon the wooden stairs. Atlantis waits in silence. The canals shimmer faintly beneath the stars, while pale mist drifts low across the water. Bridges rise gently through the fog ahead of you, like shapes from a dream. You begin walking, slowly. There's nowhere left to hurry toward now. The towers stand silently above you. The bridges rest motionless over black water below. Everything feels softer than before, more distant. Even the statues seem asleep now. You stop there at last, at the very edge of the city, behind you. Atlantis rests silently beneath the moon and fading stars. Before you, the ocean breathes endlessly into the darkness beyond sight. You remain still for a long while, listening, breathing. Nothing else moves, nothing else needs to. The city behind you feels very far away now, very quiet, almost dreamlike already. You stand quietly at the harbor edge. The ocean moves softly below. The mist has grown thicker now. It drifts slowly between the bridges and towers, wrapping gently around the sleeping city until the marble streets and glowing canals begin disappearing into pale silver haze. Everything becomes softer, less certain. You turn slowly to look one last time. The great towers rise faintly through the mist. Their shapes blur beneath the moonlight before fading again. The city feels impossibly calm, as though it has slipped beyond waking entirely. The ocean continues breathing beside you, slow waves, soft mist, cool night air. Nothing asks anything of you here. Nothing needs to be carried any farther. The city fades gently, tower by tower, bridge by bridge, until Atlantis becomes only a pale shape resting quietly within the fog. Then softer still, then almost gone. You remain there for a few final moments, while the ocean breathes slowly through the darkness, and the last traces of the sleeping city disappear into silver mist beneath the calm and endless night. And at last, there is only the sea, only the quiet sky, only the slow rhythm of waves moving endlessly through the dark. You breathe softly once more, then rest.